you don't want to make the 7 business casual mistakes. Now, business casual can be a pretty ambiguous term, especially in today's workplace. It's typically defined as a step down from the classic formal attire, but it can mean a range of things to different companies. However, there are some very common mistakes that I see guys make, and quite frankly, I made myself in the past as well. But let's address them today so you can stand out positively at your workplace and impress your future boss. The first mistake is walking around the office with your shirt untucked. This is super common, but it does make you look sloppy and unprofessional. And especially when you're wearing a sport coat or a sweater, always tuck in your shirts. Now, I have to admit that this is a mistake that I've done previously in the past as well, but I did learn my lesson. And of course, you can wear casual shirts untucked outside the office, but when you're at work, especially in a corporate environment, try to always tuck in your shirts. And make sure the shirt placket aligns with the fly of your trousers, otherwise it can also create a disorganized appearance. So when you're going to the bathroom, just remember to take a quick look in the mirror and check if everything is in order, and if it's not, then quickly adjust your shirt and you will make a great lasting impression at work. The next mistake is to wear no-show socks. Especially older men typically don't approve of this look, and the chances are pretty high that your boss is going to be a lot older than you. As a funny story, a friend of mine worked in B2B sales, and he told me a story about his manager who would refuse to hire anyone who showed up to the job interview without wearing socks. And his reasoning was basically that they will have to meet with C-level managers from respected firms, and those managers won't approve of the look, and it's going to make their firm look unprofessional. Now, you might think that's a little bit harsh, but it's a good reminder that the small details can really make a difference, especially in more conservative and competitive industries and firms. So remember to always wear socks and make sure that they have no holes and they look clean and professional. The next mistake is wearing clothes that don't fit you properly. You might have pants that are too long or too wide, or an ill-fitting sport coat. Now, I get that if you're applying for your first job after graduation, you probably don't have a lot of extra money to spend on clothes, but one of the best investments you can make is to bring your clothes to an alterations tailor. It's pretty cheap to shorten trousers or jacket sleeves, but it makes a major difference. Because if you wear clothes that are too tight or too big, it just looks unprofessional. And speaking of the right trouser length, you might have seen a lot of guys wearing shorter trousers in the past years. Now, if you like this look, then I would suggest you to keep it for your private wardrobe, but ideally not in the office. In my opinion, in the office, it's best to usually stick to a more conservative length. So that means that your trousers should either touch the top of your shoes, which is called no break, or even have a little bit of extra fabric, which would either be a half break or a full break. Another mistake you want to avoid is to wear dress sneakers. These are hybrid shoes between sneakers and dress shoes, but just because something is common doesn't make it right. Because the truth is that they look a little bit off and they are not the ideal professional choice for the work environment. Now again, I have to admit that I bought a pair of those myself in the past because I didn't really know much about shoes yet, but again, I learned my lesson. Instead of dress sneakers, just go for some leather dress shoes that could be either Oxfords or Derbies, and ideally you would have one pair in dark brown and one pair in black. Because those two shoes are very versatile and you're going to look much more professional than all of your colleagues in their dress sneakers. Another common mistake is wearing clothes that are too casual or too inconsistent. This highly depends on the company, but it could mean wearing sneakers, a t-shirt, jeans, or too much jewelry. Some companies are very casual and others more formal, but I think especially if you're starting at a new company, I believe that it's always better to be slightly overdressed and to err more on the formal end of business casual. So that means instead of jeans, you might want to consider wool trousers or chinos. And in my opinion, wool trousers would be the better choice because they are more comfortable, they're more wrinkle resistant, and also more formal. For shirts, I would stick with either dress shirts or also with Oxford cloth button-down shirts. Polo shirts might also be okay at some companies, but again, I would rather stick to the more formal options first, just to be safe. The next mistake can really ruin an otherwise excellent outfit, and that's wearing the wrong type of belt. You want to make sure you're wearing the right belt for the right occasion. And that means that first, you don't want to wear these thick jeans belts with chinos or wool trousers. And secondly, you want to go for minimal buckles and ideally without any logos. A buckle like this with a suit just doesn't look right. And third, make sure that the leather of your belt and your shoes are somewhat matching. They don't have to be the exact same shade, but wearing a black belt with brown shoes, for example, just looks a little bit off and unprofessional. The next mistake is wearing low quality items. Now I get that you may not have a big budget, but hear me out. Especially with items like a sport coat or shoes, you can really tell the difference between high quality ones and cheap ones. If you can afford it, I can highly recommend you to invest a little bit more into a decent pair of shoes and a really nice sport coat. But if you're on a budget, I would look out for sales, or even better, buy some items secondhand and then just bring them to an alterations tailor. Because in the end, if you find a high quality sport coat secondhand for just $30, that one is going to look a lot better than a cheaply made one that is new for $150. You can buy these items either in local thrift stores or online, but the benefit of the local store is of course that you can try them on first. However, in my experience, many times online you can actually find better items also for a lower price, but you need to take your measurements first. Because once you know your measurements, you can just compare them to the item online, and in most cases it's going to work and you can still bring it to the tailor. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and see you next time.